Good morning, party people. So got a lot of our good regulars in here. I see G Surgeon from the Netherlands, Big Mike, the DBA. Good morning, Richard Cooper. Good afternoon from the UK. Jedi Mind Gorilla. Good to see you, DB Augie as well. This is a problem with streaming first thing in the morning before I go in and drink anything. I always forget that if I haven't talked just yet. Welcome to the club, LT. LT subscribing over there on YouTube. So yeah, I always forget that if I haven't taken something to drink this morning, I immediately start coughing whenever I go and speak. So let's be smart and get the cough out of the system, and off we go. And of course, for those of you who are new around here, no, I don't have coronavirus, knock on wood. It's that I have asthma, and when I suddenly start talking, especially having been quiet for a really long time, like just waking up first thing in the morning, then of course I run into all kinds of coughing. So goodness gracious, I also have water here first thing as well. Ooh. Yeah, that's true, Jedi Mind Gorilla. Well, I say that, but I mean, I get up first thing in the morning and I'm all dun 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 dun, and then it's around 1, 2 local time that I start going 1, 2 in the afternoon. By then, I usually start to get a little grumpy. So today's agenda, I'd be curious to hear what y'all are working on today. So what's the thing that you're working on today over at the office? Or, of course, for some of you in Europe, you're already done for your day. Hi from the Philippines. Howdy. So what are the things that y'all are trying to tackle this week in terms of the office, the big thing that you're up against? Andy, good to see you, sir. Writing. Boy, I know that feeling. So today is actually my off day before a bunch of classes start. I have fundamentals of parameter sniffing and mastering parameter sniffing on Tuesday through Friday. And then next week I have mastering query tuning. So today I'm actually updating demos for next week. Caching, oh yeah. Read-only sysadmin type account for dev people. Oof, permissions is a pain in the rear. Failed jobs from last night on a dev server. Oh, converting Oracle to T-SQL for a data warehouse load. I always love how sometimes you'll see people say that, all you have to do is change your back end, just forklift all the code over, move it from SQL Server to Postgres, and you'll save all kinds of money. And I'm like, you really think it's that easy to just move something across? Plus, the faster that your code goes, the more you tend to leverage tricks that are only usable on one particular database platform. Bob the Lobster, welcome to the club over there on Twitch. Thank you for subscribing. And Mr. Hutmacher, I see that you're doing your vacation. Very nice. Hopefully staycation, probably working at home stuff. P2Ving a cluster. Oh, God. Whoa. So me personally, I would just always rather build a brand new server from scratch rather than P2Ving stuff like a cluster. But I guess if it's a really old version, I might be okay with it. But otherwise, Mike automating a backup. Mike, check in when you're talking about automating daily backups. I would just check into DBA tools because you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, automating backups and doing things like that. DBA tools is just such a cool framework to go do that. Jaded Bailey, today's agenda is troubleshooting an ugly stored procedure with a merge statement that's deadlocking. Let me show you something, Jaded Bailey. Just because it's relevant to what you're looking at, if you go Google for Aaron Bertrand merge, so Aaron Bertrand merge, if you search for that, you're going to find an article with a whole list of problems with the merge statement. And this article, if I could sum it up in a noise, it would be... And that's exactly how that would work. Because one of the things that it's a known issue is deadlocks. So like here, basic merge upsert causing deadlocks. If you click on that, it takes you to it's Microsoft Connect, which is sadly gone. But that was by design. I don't know if you can find this over in Connect or over in the Internet Archive, but at least that way it gets you started on that journey. That's a common known issue with the merge statement. Sucks really bad, but there it is. So to find that, search for Aaron Bertrand and then the merge statement. Richard said a client accidentally restored their backup from last night, trying to recover their data now. Ooh, jeez, you should have like sad music happening inside there. Ooh, Bob the Lobster just finished proving that it wasn't the database with the consultant toolkit. Very nice. I like it. Very nice. I should fix, looks like it's giving me just a little bit of fuzzies over there on the camera. Let me go tweak that real fast, just so that it doesn't give me that little overlay problem there. Let's go, oh, not quite that much. Let's try, oh, you know why? It's because I got a shirt with green on it today. That's part of the problem. Now, notice too how my shirt is kind of transparent as I move around. You can see things from behind it there. That's kind of funny how that works. Let's see what else Joe came up with. ADBA. Hey, ADBA, good to see you. ADBA says picking apart a poor performing query which has a ton of parameters passed in. Oh, yeah, oof. And then Jedi Mind Gorilla, we will build a new server after we kill the cluster, but getting a dev team to migrate, we still have a SQL Server 2000 server due to that. Ouch, man. So what are we going to do today? So today what my job is, job's kind of a weird word. I have kind of an odd job. Not like the James Bond villain, but odd job in the sense that I want to ship a new release of the First Responder Kit. I try to ship a new release every month because y'all do so much code. Oh my gosh, y'all just contribute so many pull requests. It's crazy. That was kind of almost went into Clippy territory there. But y'all contribute so much code, and so there are 3 or 4 pull requests. No, MD, definitely no. Not. If you search for Breno Czar no lock, you'll see why the answer is no. I have a video teaching you why it's no. So I'm going to go through those 3 or 4 pull requests, and in last couple of months we've had some quality problems. Last couple of months I have taken pull requests from people and I haven't really tested them that bad. I've been kind of like, oh, they probably know what they're doing, this will work. And God bless them, they knew what they were doing, but there are all kinds of edge cases. Whenever you ship something, we get something like 100,000 downloads of the First Responder Kit per month. So whenever you ship it to that wide of distribution, you just end up having people who use it in really weird edge cases. So I'm going to try this month to do a little bit better a job of testing, especially given that we've got some interesting pull requests out there that have kind of ambitious functionality. So we're going to take a look at those 3-4 pull requests and work through them. I'm going to try to build a test case to reproduce the problem that they're trying to solve so we can see whether or not it works successfully. I haven't made up my mind yet as to whether I'm going to ship a release tomorrow or whether I'm going to wait until mid-month. Because see, the thing is, I have like 3 training classes in a row back to back. I have one Tuesday. Tuesday I'm doing fundamentals of parameter sniffing. Wednesday through Friday is mastering parameter sniffing. Then next week is mastering query tuning. Well, if I'm during those classes, I hit the First Responder Kit scripts hard. We use them all throughout classes. So it's the kind of thing where I may just do testing during those classes. I may just use the brand new dev version live during the classes so that way if something blows up, I'm more likely to catch it rather than the people out in the world trying to catch it. So we're going to see how the quality looks, and then I'm going to make a game time decision near the end of today's webcast whether I'm going to ship an update this today or whether I'm going to ship it like 2 weeks from now. So let's go take a look at the pull requests. So the GitHub repo that we're working on here, this GitHub repo is over at firstresponderkit.org. So firstresponderkit.org, or if you search for the SQL Server First Responder Kit GitHub repo. In here, there have been a few pull requests. We're already back. There was one more this morning. ADBA, actually, thank you, gave us a pull request this very morning for this thing. So I'm going to I always try to, whenever I'm doing code, start with the easiest one first. So let's see here. I think AIDS might actually be the easiest one to go. Yeah, it probably is going to be the easiest one to go start with. So let's go see what's going on with this. So AID reported a bug, and I'll go pull the link over here to show the bug. Parallel blocked processes weren't showing a blocking session ID. So if I had a query that was blocked, it wasn't showing me which session was causing it, or it wasn't showing AID which session was causing it. So in order to do that, thankfully AID even put in a repro script so I don't have to write a test case for this. That's just absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to go set this up. I'm going to go set up the problem so we can see the one that he's talking about here. So let's do this, and then new, and move you over here. And I'm going to start by dropping my indexes. I'm going to switch over to another Stack Overflow database just that's easier to restore. I'm going to drop my indexes. I'm going to make sure that this blocking query is going to, or this blocked query is going to go parallel. To do that, I'm just going to lower my cost threshold for parallelism to 5. By default, I ship with a cost threshold for parallelism of like 50, just so that tiny queries don't go parallel. But I just want to encourage the scenario that Adrian's talking about here. So we'll say OK. Now we will go through and start the begin tran. So we're going to lock all of the users, or some of the users. Then over on the right-hand side, I'm going to go run a query that should get blocked. While it's blocked, because he's not making any progress, while it's blocked, we'll go start a new session, and we'll say SP Blitz Who. Now the problem that Aid was concerned about was the session that was getting blocked wasn't showing a blocking session ID. And, well, cheering is probably the wrong thing. I should probably make an angry noise there. This session is getting blocked, but it's not showing a blocking session ID. So that's where our problem is. So Aid submitted a pull request. So Aid's pull request, one of the things I just love about GitHub is that they have up at the top of pull requests, they get these, hi, good morning, Mossy. Has up here the files that are changed. I'm going to go click on files that are changed, and it'll show me what code was different. Oh man, sometimes fixes are easy, sometimes they're hard, and I have so much respect for people like Adrian who actually go through and work on this kind of problem, because as you can see here, there is more to do with it. Also, as you can see here, my camera got dragged over just a little bit. Now let's see if that, there we go, that's perfect. Okay, so holy smokes, when blocking session ID is anything other than this, then this, then this, then this, I have no idea what the Sam hell this is doing. That's interesting. Wow. All right, so let's go take a look and see what's going on. Let's go get his code, and let's see what it has. SP Blitz Who, and let's get the raw version. Copy it out, and I'm going to go put it into my SQL server, go deploy it into our dev there. He said, I did a typo, just looking for oh, extra nonsense. Okay, let me go back. I'll take another look at that, paste that in. Oops, paste and execute. So he says, I did a typo. Come back a little. So is there like a plus or minus? Oh, because you minused out. Oh, okay, I gotcha. So you took the code here, and it says that it's taken away, but it's not actually taken away. It's the same code. I'm going to guess that you did like different spaces or different tabbing. So if I look at those, I hate how GitHub does do this. When the code is really essentially the same, they'll say that you took it out and then replaced it, but it's the same thing. Yeah, this is accidentally doubled up on the column the first time. Okay, so in this then, let's go see how this works. So I put it in, and let's give it a shot. Let's go run SP Blitz Who again, and all right, perfect, it works. So now it works, but let's also just check to make sure, because we may have also a different slight problem. Pudota Pullman says it should be possible. Everything should be possible, right? With God, all things are possible. Unfortunately, they are not always possible on a live stream when you're trying to do code review. So let me tweak one thing here. Switch this over here and fix that. Why are you doing that? Who knows? Okay. I knew you'd catch that, Andy. So that works for parallel queries. Now let's check to make sure that it actually works with single-threaded queries as well. Let's say option max dop equals 1 and execute. Let's also turn around and say instead of equals, let's just say max dop, because that's how queries are supposed to be written. And then let's try it again with SP Blitz Who, and it looks like it's working in that scenario as well. So despite the weirdo kind of plus minus type thing, it looks like really if I'm gonna put myself in the way here because I'm gonna do code review here for a second. Plus minus anything other than you're okay, you're the same thing, you're the same thing. You're the same thing. Okay, so he just added lines inside there, so I'm okay with that. This is really how it should have looked in terms of the code review. It's just GitHub got a little wonked up in the top part. So I am going to say, just so that it's my butt on the line, I'm going to say I reviewed the changes and looks good. Thanks. Approve. Submit the review. And then I'm going to merge the pull request. I'm going to go up here and make sure that it is on the current milestone, that it's on the August milestone. Then I'm going to go over to the GitHub issue, and I'm going to say, no, that's okay. That's totally all right. I know how it goes. It's the kind of thing that I wouldn't expect people to go through and catch. What I'm usually more worried about is somebody will submit a pull request, and they'll have like all kinds of other changed files inside there. Like they'll change the documentation, or they'll change other unrelated scripts. And I'm like, yo, dog, why don't you just change one thing at a time? I don't have to say that very often, so thankfully, both yo dog and telling people to change their GitHub things. Looks good, thanks, sir. It's merged into dev and will be in the August release, along with credit for you in the release notes. So now let's go put, I got to designate this issue as actually being inside the August milestone. And then we have to add this into the release notes as well. So I have over here in the background the blog post that is all set up for the August release. So now I'm going to put in here changes in SP Blitz Who, fix parallel blocked sessions weren't showing the blocking SPID. Number 24, it's might not even, 2480 I think it was, thanks. And here we'll just copy this out. I don't know why I still make that noise. Thanks Adrian Buckman, and there we go. And let's get these, the 2489, that's what it was, 2489. 2489. And then paste that in, paste, and save the draft, and we are done. One pull request down out of 4. That only took like 10 minutes in order to do. So now let's go back over to the, get out of here, pull request list. And so now, all right, now we're down to 3 more. So now let's see what we want to work on next. So out of the next, oh no, two of them are on SP Blitz Index. No, thank you, Adrian, I appreciate it. Cheers. So now on here, we have 2 remaining. I got 2 on SP Blitz Index. Greg has been on a wonderful mission. Greg's a very smart person in the community as well, just like Adrian. Yeah, I kind of need a haircut. Like my wife is going to try to polish me or, clean me up here a little around the edges. So I kind of need a haircut. So I've been doing hats. I even was doing hats yesterday with the client. I was like, look, really, no, you don't want to see me with my hat on. And I put product in my hair and everything getting ready. Howdy, David. I put product in my hair and everything this morning. And then as soon as I went and turned on the cameras, I was like, not today, Satan. So show all missing index requests. So Greg had a couple of really cool things inside here. And both of them I really like a lot. Both of them I'm interested in getting in. And I'll tell you the backstory on each of them when we go through and do those. But because both of those are on the same stored procedure, I think I'm going to try and hit this one first, which is implement skip check server. Skip check server on SP Blitz? I'm all edges. That's pretty good. That's actually really good. I like that a lot, Jedi Mind Gorilla. So implement skip check server. This isn't actually what I thought it was. I thought it was something different. Wow, he's going to try to do a linked server. Wow. Okay, so look at that. Okay, this is amazing. So let me tell you what's going on here. A long time ago when I was a babe in the woods and I didn't really understand how open source development should work. When I was a babe in the woods, I was building SP Blitz, and I said it's very important for me to have the same parameters for a stored procedure. I never want my, I never want my, sure, blame your oversleeping on the Twitch notifications. I never want my stored procedure parameters to change. I want from the time that I release a stored procedure, I always want the parameters to be the same because people will implement agent jobs that call them and they'll use stored parameter names. Well, so early on, I was like, I'm going to have output server name, output database name, output schema name, and output table name so that you can call SP Blitz and then write the data to a table. Because people will want to track their server's health over time. For example, they'll say they want to see what the server looked like last year as opposed to this year. Because I know as a database administrator, it was always tough for me to get a raise because my boss would say, okay, so it's time for your review. What did you do this year? And I'm like, I'm not exactly sure. And he'd be like, well, go through the help desk tickets and find it. And I'm like, no, help desk tickets, no. So instead, what I started doing was taking SP Blitz, and I would run it once a month on a scheduled agent job to a table, and then that way I could compare how things looked at the beginning of the year as opposed to how things look at the end of the year. Well, what didn't work when I brought out SP Blitz was it didn't work across linked servers. There was a parameter called output server name, and I thought, someday I'm going to code that. Spoiler alert, I never coded that for like 10 years. For like 10 years, people gave me support requests, and they were like, hey, Brent, output server name doesn't work. And every time I was like, yep, read the documentation. There's a GitHub issue for it. You're welcome to contribute the code if you want, but it's not the high thing on my priority list right now, so I haven't coded it. And this happened over and over and over again. And seriously, I swear on all that's holy, I swear that I was going to pull the output server name out of this month's release. Because I was like, I don't want people to keep thinking that it's going to work and burning their time trying to get it to work when it says in the documentation that it doesn't work, but they don't frickin' code it, or they don't frickin' read the documentation. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm sitting just on my own, just minding my own business, and out of nowhere, I get an issue and a pull request saying, "Oh, it's yours. Oh, Merlin. Oh, well, that's a different name. I don't know if that's a different." He says, "Merlin, that's not the pull request we're looking for. I don't think, unless you have a totally different name than Pierre Letter, which is possible. Your name says Merlin, and the avatar kind of looks like a Merlin, but so anyway." So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this pull request comes in. I'm like, oh my God, someone's actually going to do the work. And it's not me. Woo! So in order to do this, I'm going to need to set up a linked server. Now, that's something that I don't have easily right now. Oh, my real name and my gaming name. Look at you. Well, in that case, thank you. I appreciate the pull request. You're my only hope, Obi-Wan Merlin. So now what I need to do is I don't really want to add another SQL server right now. I do have linked servers that I could go hit over in things like the cloud. But what I'm going to do, just for starters, is I'm going to try output server name with a linked server pointing directly at my own server. So I'll show you a trick about how you create linked servers pointing to the same server. You're probably never going to need this, but God knows that I've needed it over the years. So let's start with that first now. I'm going to go install the latest version of SP Blitz, and I'm going to show you what breaks before I show you what works. And then we'll go into Pierre's pull request and see if we can go in and fix it. Merlin said, I didn't fix the output server. Somebody else did that already. I just completed it with skip checks. Yeah, and skip check, even if you can get skip checks to work, I am, frankly, Merlin / Pierre Merlin Letter, I coded that. I didn't even code the skip checks. I paid someone else in the community to develop the skip check stuff, Lori Edwards, who's now on the past board of directors. Lori had some spare time, and I'm like, let me hire you to go do the skip checks thing that I've always wanted, and I've never had the time to code. I didn't know if anyone was using it or not. Pierre, I am so thrilled that you're actually using it. That just warms my cold, ice cold heart. So it's really cool that you would even use it, let alone submit a pull request for it. I would hug you if that wasn't against the law in most states right now. So I'm going to go show the people on the stream will be learning how the skip checks stuff works. I think most people don't even know that. So it'll be an educational journey for all of us. So let's talk about what skip checks is and what it does. First, let me go grab the latest version of SP Blitz. And then I will go install it on my little server on here. Close U, close this deadlocked or blocked query because that isn't going to make any sense. Roll back and close U. Let's go open up SP Blitz. So that is on ctemp, first responder kit, SP Blitz, and it's in the master database. Perfect. All right. So here are the parameters that we're talking about. Let's say that there's a check in SP Blitz that you don't care about. That, for example, let's say database snapshot online. You're like, or for the purposes of this webcast, I'm going to say backups. Let's say that you're on a development server and you don't care about backups. How do you get SP Blitz to skip the warnings about backups? What you do is you create a table with the list of checks. Ooh, that's a good question. If you search for Brent Ozar GitHub, I actually have a video on it, but it's just kind of a primer. But that's a really good question, and other people are welcome to answer because I know I struggled with learning GitHub too. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a table, and you're going to pass in the location of the table here. People think when they read this, they're like, oh, this means I'm going to skip all the checks on one database. No, there's a table called skip checks, and where does it live? Like, it's up to you where the thing lives. And inside that skip checks table, it's going to have a list of check IDs, databases, servers, etc. that you want to skip. So first thing that I got to do is I got to go create that table. Second, I'm going to run SP Blitz and passing into that table so you can see how it works. So if I remember right, I've got it documented over on the code. I'm going to go to in the README and search for skip checks. So here it goes. So skipping checks or databases. This is on the home of the documentation page. So let's go copy that out. And let's go start a new window. So we're going to create the table of checks to skip. In order for me to be fancy, I'm going to put it in a different database. I'm going to put it in the DBA tools database because that's just going to give me a little bit extra level of testing. So the checks that I want to skip, to find it, I'm going to go run SP Blitz, and I'm going to find the check for backups on the Stack Overflow database alone. Very nice. Wow, you use it too, David. Oh my God, I got to write a blog post about it because I didn't think anybody actually knew about that feature. That's fantastic. So let's say that I want to skip the check across this row right here. I want to skip the check on backups of Stack Overflow, but only Stack Overflow. So what I'm going to do is if I scroll across over to the right-hand side here, there's a check ID. Every check in SP Blitz has an ID, so that this way you can skip just the specific checks you want. I'm going to skip check ID number 1 for the Stack Overflow database. So up here, it says when I insert into the table, and I'll move this in so that y'all can see it just a little bit. Wow, a bunch of you use it. That's just, oh my God, it just warms my heart. That's so fantastic. I'm not going to pick a particular database. Or I'm not going to pick a particular server name, but I'm going to say the Stack Overflow database and check number 1. So let's go insert that. Oh, did I create the table? I don't know that I did. Let's go create the table in case it doesn't exist, and let's insert the 1 row. Good morning, Santi. Good to see you. So now let's go run SP Blitz. When you see in here that I have, did I put in the name? Oh, good. It's even the same name of the table. So now I'm going to run SP Blitz again. This time I'm going to run it with that skip checks parameter. And if it works correctly, if y'all hadn't said that you were using it, I would actually doubt that it was going to work successfully the first time that I executed it here, because that's how rarely I use this. So in here, see now, there's no warning about the Stack Overflow backups. That's been skipped. Fantastic. I love it. So that works, but what doesn't work, or I assume doesn't work because I hardly ever use this, is skip check server. So skip check server, if I pass in a server name and I go to execute that, well, it also, you moron, server. I don't even know that it's not server name as the parameter. I don't even know if it's doing error handling or anything like that. It's just keep it on chuck and right on working. Oh, it actually, wow, wait, what? Oh, you know what? It's probably just completely getting disregarded. Because I bet if I put in Pierre letters, I bet it's probably still going to work. It's probably just ignoring that thing. Oh. That's exactly what it's doing. It's just simply ignoring that parameter altogether. Great, Brent. Golf clap. Real smart. So now what Pierre's change is, let's go over and look at the change request that he put in. So let's come back up to his pull request. Whoops, that's issues. I need pull requests. So in here he says, implement skip checks server. It's not used at all. Aren't you ashamed of me, Merlin? Isn't that just absolutely terrible? So here's oh, look at you. You even changed the documentation. Oh, you're just so fantastic. So up in the documentation, it says, really anal retentive users like y'all will notice that the skip checks parameter isn't used yet. We figured we could avoid changing the surface area later. He even took that part out. That's so just magical. So in here he has, oh, you're just doing 4-part naming. Okay, all right, that's cool, that works. So he's not checking to see whether a linked server exists with that name. So if a linked server doesn't exist with that name, SP Blitz will crash. I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with that. If this was like customer-facing production code, then I might want to do better error handling or whatever. But frankly, this is for us database administrators. I'm fine with this. So let's go see if it works. Well, I expect that if I run it as is with the way that Pierre has it right now, it should crash and it should throw an error on mine. Then I'm going to go create a linked server with that exact name and we'll go see what happens. So I'll switch into the master database so that I overwrite the same one. Then I'm going to execute this again. I expect this to crash. Oh, you know why it didn't crash? Oh, no, okay, all right, yep, yeah, there we go. Okay, good. So here is the warning. I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with that. That works beautifully. So now let's go add a linked server and make it work. To add a linked server, I'm going to go into server objects. I always forget where linked servers live. I'm going to go add a new linked server. And then under the linked server, one of the tricks that you can use is you can just use the period. Just a period and nothing else. And that refers to localhost. I am your local host. So it's a SQL server. In terms of security, I don't actually know. Let's try use the current login's current security context. I don't actually know what the SA password is on this. Because I shouldn't have to know, right? If worst case scenario, I'll just go make a new login. So let's see if that works. Now here, Pierre letters won't work, but let's just try a plain old period and let's see what happens. Woo! And there's no backup warning on Stack Overflow. Pierre, Merlin, you are awesome. That works beautifully. So love it. I'm very happy with that. Absolutely works well. We will take it. Okay, so that works. I'm going to ship it. Off we go. So let's come back over to the hire Pierre. So true story. I'll tell you a true story only because it's kind of funny, and then I'll accept the pull request. So the way that I met, I didn't meet Richie, but this way, I think Richie and I had met each other before that. But my employee, I was gonna say my only employee, but my wife also technically works with me. Notice I didn't say for me. The way that Richie really started coming on board with the company was one of the first, or the first training class that me, Jeremiah, and Kendra taught, that Jeremiah, Kendra, and I taught in Atlanta, Georgia. We did our very first training class ever in Atlanta, Georgia, rented out like banquet space at a hotel, did developer-focused SQL Server training, and Richie Rump showed up, was in the audience as well, and he saw us doing a lot of copy-pasting of statistics.io output, and yeah, you absolutely should assume that, yes, because I do tell a lot of fictional stories, like trying to change the names for client type stuff. But Richie shows up in the audience, and we just knew him from online or whatever, and looked at Stats.io. He saw us constantly copy pasting things out of Stack.io or Statistics.io, running calculators against them, trying to sum the total number of logical reads. And as he's sitting in the training class, he's like, oh, I bet I could build a site that would do that in JavaScript. And he built it like the night after the first day of class and shows it to us and is like, hey, check this out. I built this to make your lives easier, and that's statisticsparser.com that I bet a lot of you have used even today. And he just built that whole thing in JavaScript, and we were like, wow, damn. And so from kind of like that moment forward, I was sealed the deal for me that he's the kind of person who recognizes real world problems and builds appropriate solutions without having to be micromanaged. And that's the kind of person that I really want to work with and hire, because I know that's the kind of person that I want to be. I strive to be the kind of person who sees a real problem out in the real world and then builds solutions to match it without having to be given very specific specs. So, D. Sanchez, welcome to the club. So now, that's a good point, Merlin. I should also update the documentation saying that this parameter works. So let's go over to the pull requests, and we will accept that magnificent accept that magnificent pull request. So implement skip check server. So reviewer was me, and I probably should have put that in as a review. So let's see here. I'll go over and say review works on my machine, because we know that's how we all test. Approve, submit. Oh, one thing I didn't look at is, does this still work even if I don't put in a skip check server? If I run it without a skip check server, does it still work? I didn't see if he had a coalesce inside there. Oh, it looks like he might. So let's go back. I'm just going to look at the files changed again and say, does it have, yes, he checked and see if it is null or not. He has an if null check inside there. If skip check server is not null, go add it in. So I'm going to take that as is. I may change it to an anything other than empty string, just because empty string will break. If I do pass it in, because this is technically a valid input, that won't work. Or if it does work, the space definitely won't work. Yeah, so an object name is missing or empty, so I would just need to make sure that it's anything other than an empty string. So I'll do that as well. So let's go take the pull request. We've got that accepted, and now let's go in and tag it. So it is assigned to Merlin. Yeah, very nice. Nicely done. That is Pierre, and then we'll say label is an enhancement for SP Blitz, and then the milestone is the August release. We will say that this is merged, confirm, and thanks for the code, works great, merged into dev, will credit you in the August release. So let's comment that, and then let's go back over to the issue itself. I don't know that this had an, oh yeah, good, it does have an issue. Okay, cool. So then let's assign Pierre to the issue as well. Just because I always like it to be able to be tracked later if somebody wants to go in and see who did something, or like for their GitHub profile, something like that. An enhancement on SP Blitz, and then milestone is in the August release, and put this in here and comment. And now let's see. I'm going to add a branch on my own machine because I want to make a couple of really small tweaks. I need to change the documentation, and I need to check to make sure that it's not an empty string that they passed in. So let's fetch the origin. Let's get the changes. Let's create a new branch, 2496. What's it called? Skip check server. Thank you, Road to Reformed. Let's not do too much politics inside here, though. Thanks for your understanding. That's like, politics and religion I try to stay out of in this tech channel, except when you see me do it. Skip check server, null checking or space checking, and new branch, and create branch. And then let's say in here, the changes that we got to make, we have to, well, that escalated quickly. First responder kit. So in SP Blitz, do you want to reload it? Yes. And let's close the other ones. Close this, close this. So in here, skip checks server. Let's go in and find it. So here it goes. So if it's not null, this is what Pierre originally did, which is really cool. It's not bad, but I'm also going to say if ltrim rtrim, and technically just plain trim would work here, but I try to maintain compatibility with older versions when it's easy, is anything other than, all right, so I'm above politics. So is anything other than an empty string. Also, just for bonus points, I'm going to tab that out just because it's a little easier to do. Oh, skip checks. Oh, no. Okay, we're doing skip checks. Oh, set string to execute plus equals. String to execute plus equals. Oh, because we have already started setting it, haven't we? Have we not set that? Yeah, we set string into. Yes, okay, there we go. That's cool. And as long as we're in here, okay, good point. I'll add the semicolon. As long as we're in here, I think string to execute is an nvarchar, and I just want to be kind of good about that. So yeah, it is an nvarchar. So I'm going to say, I'm also going to set these as plus n. So let's throw the n's in there for Unicode just to be kind of good. That, and that should do it. Okay. All right, good. So let's put that into production, and then I don't know why I put that into production. Let's save it, close it. I also need to change the documentation. So the documentation, there's a README file. So a quick thing on the way that GitHub works, which I really kind of love. This is neat how this works. If you go to the main page of the First Responder Kit repo and you scroll down past all the files, here's the README file. And in here is the documentation that no one ever reads. I do wish that they would give us the option in GitHub to put the README up above the code, because people just see a bunch of code and they think there's nothing to read here, but the documentation's down at the bottom. So down on here, I'm going to do a Control F for skip check server and see. Oh, good, it's not even in there. So check for the Okay, good. So there's nothing in there about skip check server, so I don't think I even need to change the documentation. That's kind of okay. Now, Pierre also wanted me to change the output documentation. I'm going to go look at that. Output server name. It says not functional yet, and that's true. The only one it's functional in is SP Blitz. It's not functional in the other stored procedures because the other ones use XML. They do XML, like SP Blitz cache, for example, dumps XML in, and XML can't go across linked servers. No, Robert, we do not. No. So output server name, I'm going to change that. He says you should add it at the bottom there with that wrong statement. Yep, absolutely. So I'm going to say on the README, I'll edit this with Notepad just because it's got a bunch of fancy formatting in there that kind of makes some Markdown editors choke. works, not functional yet, or works in SP Blitz, but not functional yet in the rest of the stored procedures. All right, so there we go. Save. Ha 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 ha. I'm just writing Markdown. You missed it. I was saying good things about you earlier. It's the same. We were talking about the time when we met and you did statisticsparser.com. Okay, so we've got that. Let's look on the GitHub desktop, and we have, so one of the things I love about GitHub desktop is it gives you these nice little diffs that show you what was changed. So there's the change that we made in the README. Then over in SP Blitz, here are the changes that we made over in SP Blitz. I always just kind of want to double check to make sure that some typo or something didn't sneak in when I wasn't looking. Looks pretty good. So let's say number 2496, SP Blitz, tweaking skip check server implementation. Checking for empty spaces. Did I miss a space? Hold on, let me go hit that. Let's go. And Greg, your stuff is up next. Skip check server. And let's see here. So we got that. Oh, yeah, good catch, Greg. Oh, yep, it's right over here. Good catch. So N right there. Save that. And then close. And come back over here. So there we go. Checking for empty spaces, adding ends in front of strings. Closes number 2496. Commit. Do a publish. Do a pull request. Come on, big fella. Do a pull request. And assign myself on this one. And do label, we'll just stick it under SP Blitz. And then the milestone is this month's milestone. And then create the pull request. I saw your note, Greg, and I'm going to see, because we'll see if I can repro it too as well. This is and I'm also like, with as much work as you put into it, I'm like, okay, so now I'm going to pick it up and keep going, because if you did so much work in there, I want to make sure that it gets across the finish line. So if I can repro it, I set myself aside enough time this morning that I could go dig in and figure out what's going on. Okay, so that works. The issue number, now I got to add that to this month's release. So I got to go put in, so this is, it was 2496. So SP Blitz, improvement, skip check server is now implemented. So you can pass in, or you can have SP Blitz check a centralized skip checks table for a list of checks, databases, and servers to skip across your entire, what's the word that the Brits call estate? Estate? I think that's just kind of cool, because I like estate cars. That is number 2496. Thanks, Pierre. Letter, and I don't know if it's letter or letters. I'm going to go over and take a look at that to get that completely. Shoot, I hate it when I copy instead of paste. Paste. Let's go see Pierre's. Yeah, Pierre letter. Okay, Pierre letter. Pierre letter, and paste that right there. Paste, and there we go. So let's save that. And I'm going to have to do Kingdom. All right, so save that. All right, there we go. And we're off to the races. Now we are down to two pull requests left. Realm, that's not bad either. So before we go on, I'm going to do a quick shout out to this week's sponsor. So this week's sponsor is Quest Software. Quest put together an ebook with the best of SQL Server query tuning tips from me, Panal, and Janice from our recent webcasts for Quest Software. You can go read about those over at brentozar.com/go/optimization. Totally free ebook. You just have to sell your soul in the form of putting in your email address, and then they will spam you until the end of time. right? But that's what we all do. That's why you're here with me, is because you bought into my spam as well. Woo, spam! Well, I'm kind of like, spam is the price that we pay in order to get the free education type stuff. I totally get it. Like, I wish that every company would pay for all of their employees to get free training, but it's just hardly ever the case that happens. And instead, we end up doing free training just because vendors pay us to do it. Okay, so we've been going for about an hour straight. Now that Mero showed up, don't worry, we're still going. I'm going to be doing like 3 hours straight continuously today, doing testing of code and all that. I have never surfed in the ocean. That's not true. I did in Cabo. We did during one of the company retreats. This was before you got hired, but we did a company retreat in Cabo, Mexico, rented out a big house, and I did body surfing out there. And by body surfing, I mean I took one of those boogie boards and got out there and managed to get my butt kicked inside the ocean. It was not pleasant in any. I mean, it was pleasant, but it was not pleasant to watch, I'm sure. Okay, so we're going to stop here for a 5-minute bio break. I'm going to go refuel my espresso, and we will come back in 5 minutes and continue working into the pull requests. I'm not doing open Q&As today, but if you search for foreign keys, Subrata, on our blog, you've got all kinds of stuff over there. So we will be right back in 5 minutes, and then we'll dig into Greg's pull requests on SP Blitz Index. So see y'all back here in about 5 minutes. right, welcome back. So over the break, got an email in, my daily email from carsandbids.com, one of my new obsessions. So I've always liked to bring a trailer. Bringatrailer.com is where I bought my Audi RS6. Well, thanks, Royce Ginger. I appreciate it. And now Cars and Bids is my new obsession because they focus just on like 80s and up collector cars. So they have a car that ends today. Oh, the car that ends today. 1986 BMW 635 CSI. Oh, it's so beautiful. So the photos on here are just epic, fantastic. I just absolutely love this thing. Such a nice job of maintaining this thing. Just a beautiful look to it. I really love the two-door style, just big coupes. Not particularly fast. It's got an automatic transmission. It's just like a nice big cruiser. And I love how they even have the stickers from Hoonigan on there. So over in the corner there in the rear window, it says, "Respect your elders." Oh, I just love it. It's so beautiful. But yeah, what a bunch of just a beautiful looking old car. So when I bought the Audi RS6 a long time ago, my wife was like, I'd say like 3 or 4 years ago. About 3 or 4 years ago when I bought the RS6, my wife was like, okay, it's cool and it's fast, but it makes noises. It like creaks when you're sitting in the car. And I'm like, oh, come on now. Because we've had really screwed together cars for a while. We've had like a Volvo, then what do we have after the Volvo? An Infiniti, and then the Porsche. And they were all brand new. And so she's like, I don't really like cars that make noises, like creak and groan. And I was like, oh. And there was a whine in the driver's seatbelt, like it would wiggle a little bit and whine every now and then. She's like, I don't want it to make any sounds. And I'm like, oh, come on. Super Cyberall says, how expensive are to maintain our German cars? It's less about how expensive they are to maintain. It's more about, did you pick up a car that has what's called deferred maintenance, whereas the people thought it was expensive to maintain, so they just didn't maintain it, and they drove it into the ground, not doing any oil changes or anything like that. Those are the ones that are going to be expensive. There's a common joke that the cheapest or the most expensive Mercedes you'll ever buy was the cheap Mercedes. Like if you buy a Mercedes and because it's got a low cost to it, that's because somebody beat it into the ground and they never did their maintenance on it. I used to want a Triumph or an MG or an Alfa Romeo or a Fiat, one of those small convertibles from the 60s, 70s. But man, I mean, you get in, you're like, there's no air conditioning in here. There's no defroster. The defroster doesn't work. And I'm like, after enough of those, because my dad had MGs and Triumphs growing up, and I'm like, I don't know. So, yeah, exactly. Whee! $3,000. I just love this thing. It is just stellar. Just a beautiful old car. So anyway, that's Cars and Bids. It's really neat. They have a lot of modern collector cars. So there's a Fox body Mustang up there, which I just love this thing too. And that ends today, $6,000. It'll probably go up to like 10 or 12, but if you look at that's something from our childhood that's like super rare to see now. They look cheap at the time. I mean, not a lot of us really wanted this particular flavor, but now you look back and you're like, oh, that's actually kind of awesome. Cars and Bids has a lot of those interesting kinds of cars. Then they also have modern stuff too, like who in their right mind is buying a brand new used AMG? Yeah, the crash regulations pretty well put a stop to that one. Not a lot of kit car makers could do airbags. Royce Ginger says, I picked up a house with deferred maintenance. You know what's really funny? One of my favorite channels on TikTok is a home inspection guy. There's a home inspection guy on TikTok that takes videos of the horrors that he finds when he goes and inspects houses. Squirt bottle. Yes, Madam Mike, yes, I've been on here for quite a while now. I mean, not today. Today I've only been on for like an hour. Okay, so when last we met, before the bio break, we were getting ready to work on 2 pull requests for SP Blitz Index. So on SP Blitz Index now, let's figure out the changes that we need to make inside here. So Greg has 2 different pull requests. I don't know if one's got dependencies. Let's see. I'm going to look at the show all one because I think it's going to be easier. and I'm going to look at the changes that Greg made inside here. Greg is in here inside the chat as well. He's watching us from inside, which is kind of cool. There's 4 pull requests that I'm going to tackle today, and all 4 of the authors were actually on the stream. Y'all are just amazing. No, Toby, I can't take that much credit. We have 11 issues, but we had 4 pull requests. So 4 pull requests, and we're going to get it down to 0 today, but I'm still going to have like 7 issues up and running. And Holmes on Holmes is also awesome. I really enjoyed that. DTLA, good to see you. So on here are the lines of code that Greg. Oh, so let me explain what the problem is first that Greg is trying to solve. When am I going to load up Quake? Quake, no. If anything, I would play either Grand Theft Auto or the truck driving simulator, and I forget which. I made TikToks. I have like a dozen TikToks, or really like 30 or 40 TikToks, I think. It's just I only make them when I travel, like the Iceland trip. And thank you, Sniper Demon, for renewing as well. That's fantastic. A 2nd month here. Thank you. I appreciate it. So the problem that Greg is trying to solve with this pull request. So when you run SP Blitz Index, one of the things that we do in SP Blitz Index, that's the point, DBAugie, is it blurs out the background. Because if you're looking at the background, my eyes are up here. Come on. I just wanted to say that because it's kind of funny. But that's the point. It's called bokeh. It's fuzzing out the background on purpose so that you focus on the thing that's important, you squirrel. Well, you say I don't update it that often, so it's not too bad. And I promise I never dance. It is never going to happen. I'm never going to make a dancing TikTok. I'm waiting for him to follow me, then I'll make lots of TikToks. The code is back there. If you're trying to look over here, we're not doing testing right now. And if you're trying to look at the code on the monitor, you just need to get a better monitor, like switch to 1080p or 4K. So the problem that Greg is trying to solve, Greg being right there, the problem that Greg is trying to solve is that with SP Blitz Index, we give you your missing indexes, like indexes that Clippy has been complaining about, but we filter them. The table has to be at least a certain size. The indexes have to have been used at least a certain number of times, and that number is based on how long your server's been up. Because I don't want to bother giving you index recommendations for something when you've only run a query 3 times, but the server's been up for 6 months. So what Greg did was Greg said, I want to be able to show all missing index requests because maybe my server's been up for a really long time and our query's been burning up the charts, but it just hasn't hit the thresholds overall due to our uptime yet. So Greg wanted to add a parameter that shows all missing index requests regardless of how many times they've been called. So let's go see how that worked. So if I go over here, so here's a parameter that Greg added, show all missing index requests, default to 0. I love it because Greg's being considerate of the existing code base out there. You don't want to break functionality that people have been expecting to get. You just want to have a new parameter that people can opt into if they want the new functionality. So here he's doing filtering for, normally the math that we do is here, the magic benefit number, which essentially is the number of times the number of times the index was asked for, how big of an impact the index would have had, and what the query's cost was. And the latter 2 are estimates by Clippy, so they're not terribly accurate. That's why we call it a magic benefit number, because it's kind of real and kind of not. So magic benefit, and then based on the days of uptime. Now, yeah, for right now, I'm just double checking submitted code here today. So here is where we do our math. He's saying either where the missing index filter has been turned on, just show me everything, or where this math matches. So that's absolutely perfect. I like it. Also, this is very easy because I don't have to check Greg's math here. This math has been in place for years, so it's not like there's anything tricky going on here. I'm going to scroll down a little further. Okay, so the next one, mode 4, is also when we're examining and doing like the psychological tests on your indexes. So mode 4, I'm going to move this down just a little to get it out of Winnie's tweet there, or Winnie's message. So mode 4, same exact thing, where we're saying either mode 4 and they wanted everything in, or show all missing indexes is turned on. Okay, I like that. Let's go down a little further. And then same exact thing here, checking the thresholds. Okay, I love it. So now I need to be able to test Greg's code. In order to test it, what I need to do, Alan, welcome to the club from YouTube. In order to test it, what I need to do is I need to create a missing index hint and have it not show up inside of SP Blitz index, because I like it only runs one time kind of thing. So let's start by saying we'll flip over into Stack Overflow. I'm going to run SP Blitz Index, and then I'm also going to run it SP Blitz Index mode equals 4 and SP Blitz Index table name equals users. The reason why I'm going to do this is I want to make sure that the before and after, because Greg changed things in a few places, I want to make sure that it's consistent in all the places, just to double check. So right now we don't show any missing index requests, and let's look in closer at the users table. The users table also shows no missing index requests. Now let's go run a query that triggers one. So I'm going to say select star from DBO users where display name equals Brent Ozar. And let's see if this triggers a missing index request. Sure enough, hey buddy, oh, you didn't think you were going to see me on this webcast, did you? You won't lose me that easily. So, hey buddy, I see that you're querying by display name. Sure would help if you had an index on the display name table. But I only ran the query once. And the query's relatively inexpensive. The query only costs 38 query bucks. So does it show up right now over in SP Blitz Index when I go look at the users table? It does not. There are no rows inside here. And technically there's a bug because it doesn't say no indexes. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. Now, if I go over and look over at the SP Blitz Index, the overall version, just to make sure that that doesn't say, so that doesn't show any problems either. It says no major problems found, nice work. And let's go run this one. Yes, I did. I went to Malibu and to Mexico for like a week each. So none of these show index recommendations. This is working as designed. I do want to check the DMVs just to make sure that there's something in the DMVs that reports a missing index. I'm going to go select star from sys DMD. DOMFX, you can read the documentation for that one. I'll let you go ahead and do that. DMDB missing index details. And let's go see if there's any missing index recommendations. And there's an index recommendation up there on the users table on display name. So that's the one that Greg wants to show in his new version of SP Blitz Index. So let's go get Greg's new version of SP Blitz Index. Let's copy that out. SP Blitz Index. Copy it out, get raw. That sounded a little weird. Copy that out and then go paste it into SSMS. Works as designed. Works on my machine. Execute. And then let's try it again, now with Greg's change. Let's go in and run SP Blitz Index. Oh, no, it's okay. I didn't run the parameter that asks for all missing index requests. It actually works. Well, so far. Let's try this one. And that still works as designed. That one still works as designed. Now let's pass in Greg's new parameter. Show all missing index requests. I think that's what it was called. Let's go see. And look at that, Greg. Yes. There we go. That's true. I totally need that. That would be kind of funny. So this now shows that we have one missing index on the users table. It only would have been used one time. So that's perfect. Let's try it with mode 4. So let's copy this out. Copy and paste. And then we'll paste it down here while we're at it. So we'll try it under mode 4. And that also shows up. Then let's try it on the users table. And the users table shows up. So there we go. Yes, absolute CGS, I absolutely am. I absolutely am. CGS, what you'll learn over time is that as you give free software back to the community, you become really lazy about cosmetic bugs. I'm like, that's a cosmetic bug. If someone wants to go and fix it, they're welcome to file an issue. It's been like 10 years and no one's noticed that cosmetic bug until now, including me, and I will leave that as it is. Exactly, yes. So if you turn on the parameter hides bug, so it'll hide the bug only if I think there are missing index requests. But if there are none, then I think the bug is still going to be present. Okay, so speaking of which, I'm going to go back to the main one. So I'm going to say that, Greg, I'm going to say this because you're in the webcast. So in here, see how it says high value missing index? In an amazing world, what I would do is instead of saying high value missing index, I would say rarely used or new missing index. This is not that perfect world. I am shipping it. I am totally down with this exactly the way it is. The reason why is that I know some yo-yo in 5 or 10 years is going to come in here. They're going to run this and they're going to be like, why'd you call it high value? It's not high value. It was only used one time. But at that time, we'll all look back at this moment and we will laugh. Yeah, and that's cool. I'm down with you. I agree 100%. All right, so I'm going to take that exactly as is. That works for me. Let's go over here and take that little fella. So let's come back over here to the pull request review. That's true. Looks great. Thanks for the... Richie, you say that, but we've got 2 bugs open for it right now. And you know what's really funny, Richie, is that Greg, this pull request is related to that bug in SQL Constant Care. We are recommending an index that already exists due to the way that we evaluate them. Yes, Greg's like I could put the 2 of you in a room together and you would suddenly bond over Richie has to go fix the bug that Greg found. Thanks for the pull request. Merged into dev. Will be in the August release with credit for you in the release notes. Oh, I also got to add this to the documentation. Approve, submit. And then, so I'm going to put this in the August release. Assigned is Greg. And then labels is works as Brent's specs. That's what you should put, because I think in my specs is the reason that bugged this. CGS, no, it doesn't, and I'll talk about that in a second here too once I merge this pull request, because that it has an interesting thing along with Greg's bug that he found inside there. I feel like a valued customer. You are. You're part of the team now because you're contributing issues. So that did I merge it? I merged it. Yep. Okay. Good. So then let's come back over to the item and we'll say assignee is Greg. The label is a enhancement for SP Blitz Index. I think I called it in a bug at some point. Whatever. And then 2018 release. Paste in my note over here and close and comment. So now over on the release notes, we'll say SP Blitz Index changes, improvement. Yes, absolutely, Santi, it can. Added new show all index index. What was it? Was it called? Show all missing index requests. Parameter to show even if the query was only run a few times or had low impact. Number 2498. Thanks, Greg Dots. And I don't know if it's dot. Is it plural dots? Well, here, let me paste it in first. And I'll see it over on your GitHub profile. You don't have to type it in there. Greg Dodds, and copy that in. Oh, he doesn't have it on the GitHub. Oh, it's only singular. It's only singular. Okay, cool. Greg Dodd. There we go. Thanks. And of course, now I got to put it in there. Valued customer, Greg Dodd. So we'll save that. And now I'm going to talk about the question that I'm going to talk about. Who was it that asked? CGS. CGS said, "Does Constant Care get updated monthly like the First Responder Kit?" One of the things that that I wanted to be able to do with Constant Care is track what's happening over time and then make recommendations based off of that. With stuff like SP Blitz Index, all we have is the current moment in time. We don't have all of the history. So the whole reason that this pull request came around is that Greg started getting missing index requests in Constant Care, and we started having a conversation about how we track them. With SP Blitz, with Constant Care, we track that a query is being run like days in a row. We want to make sure that the missing index request keeps happening. If it only happened one day because some data analyst just ran an ugly query on their machine, we don't want to trigger a missing index request on that. We want to see the exact same one going up for days in a row. So that's the kind of thing that we need metadata over time for. And then we also want to go dedupe indexes. We want to check and see that Clippy's indexes aren't too wide, that they actually make sense in order, that we're not indexing on the wrong kinds of columns. So that's the kind of brains that we put into Constant Care because we can afford to spend more computational time on that and track history over time. The release schedule and the logic for what we do in Constant Care is totally different than what we do in the First Responder Kit. So we tend to not announce things ahead of time because who knows, we'll find bugs and we'll wait a while. So we just release the Constant Care changes when they're ready. We don't do them every single month at the same time of the First Responder Kit because it's just totally different code. Okay, so there's one for SP Blitz Index. No, our changes in Constant Care are totally independent from SQL Server's releases. We have a whole, oh my gosh, a ton of GitHub issues in there that for ideas and things that we're working on. I like talk with Richie and Slack, and we make decisions about what we're prioritizing. We tend to do a milestone for every month or two, and then Richie works through things. I'll submit pull requests, and then as we get them tested, then whenever it's the right time, we go and do a deployment. Richie can probably answer how frequently we do them. I'm going to guess it's every 2 to 3 months, ballpark. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I've never really thought about it. Because I tend to not micromanage that kind of thing. I'm like, whenever we got a bunch of stuff and it looks like it's ready, we'll do it all at once. We don't do continuous deployment or anything like that. We probably, no, we couldn't because we have database changes too as well that we're not great about automating in terms of source control. Okay, a quick shout out to this week's sponsor before I go on to the next pull request. So Quest software. Sandy, I'm not going to do training during this class. For training, we've talked about the training classes that you can go into, but I'm going to have to focus on the thing we're doing here this week. So every 2 weeks, damn. So Quest is bringing you these webcasts this week. If you go to brentozar.com/go/optimization, you can go download a free ebook on query tuning compiled with stuff from me, Janice, and Panal from webcasts that we've done recently for Quest software. We have more webcasts coming up in, I want to say September, October, November. I've already inked them, got the contracts and everything done, and they're on my calendar. I just don't remember off the top of my head. The public registration isn't open yet. As soon as we get the public registration open, I'll publish it on my blog as well for that. Also, if you go to that site and get the free ebook, you'll automatically get emails for the upcoming webcasts that I'm doing with, I don't know that I'm doing with any, I think those are just me for September, October, November. And they're all, of course, recorded. So if you miss the live ones, Quest will send you the recording links as well. Okay, and we have so many, there's so many interesting things. At some point, we should probably do an open Q&A about Constant Care and the infrastructure behind it, just so that y'all could see, because I have no idea what kinds of questions you would ask. We used to blog about it, but at this point, the infrastructure is kind of stable enough. The only changes that we kind of would have coming down the pike, two things. One, I'm kind of intrigued by AWS Aurora Serverless. Which is a serverless database that'll automatically scale up and scale down. In theory, we're perfect for that because we have real bursty workloads. We have really ugly demands for just a few hours a day when people all send in their data. So in theory, serverless would be good for that. Right now, it has a whole lot of restrictions that make it a no-go. I'll just stop there. It has a whole lot of restrictions that would make it a no-go. The second thing that I would love to be able to do from an infrastructure perspective is be GDPR compliant, but unfortunately, since the EDU knocked down the Privacy Shield laws, for us to be GDPR compliant, we would have to have a whole separate infrastructure in the EU, and right now, just the cost benefit wise, it doesn't really make it. Okay, so now let's look at the next pull request, or really the last pull request from the public. I think there are going to be a couple of other things that I want to change inside there that I may want to work on. So this one, Greg has been working on for a while. This is kind of cool. I love this one. So here is the thing that I would love to accomplish. No, Royce, I wouldn't even come close to that. We're not even going to bother with that. It's really, when you think about building an application, it's like, do you want to build for today or do you want to build for 10 years from now? I'm really building SQL Constant Care for 10 years from now, where I firmly believe that the majority, not all, but the majority of clients will be out in the cloud. Not everyone, but most will. So yeah. And plus two, we aim for affordability. And if you want to do it on premises, oh my God, the support workload is unbelievable. So if you want to do it on premises, your best bet is to go buy a conventional monitoring tool. And then you're going to be like, but Brent, that's $1,000 to $2,000 per server that I want to monitor. Yeah, and that's why they're so expensive, because y'all are idiots. You can't figure out how to install anything or configure it or keep it running. So it costs a lot to pay all of the support people to hold your hands and make sure that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. Costs a lot because you're incompetent. Anywho, so my wife, Brent, how do you still have customers? I'm not really sure. So in here, people stay in here until they get, I have 2 feet and 1 bullet. And good news, my boss can't buy real bullets, so they're blanks. Woo! SP Help DB8, that's called the Consultant Toolkit. So you can go buy the Consultant Toolkit if you'd like to. You can go buy that. So in here, with SP Blitz Index, yeah, exactly. SP Blitz Index will give you index recommendations like that's shown up there. It says Clippy is recommending an index on location, and then it includes about me. What I would really love for it to say in SP Blitz Index, not in the missing index creation script, but I would love for it to say how big the columns are. Because right now, what I have to do is I have to look at the index recommendations and then switch over to another spreadsheet or another file to figure out how big the columns are. Let me show you my use case. So I'm going to go back over to the change that we just made and see how in here, and I'll zoom in to show you. So you see how in here it says, hey, high value missing index. It's on the Stack Overflow database on the users table, and you're doing an equality search on display name. Well, how big is display name? And then if Clippy wants a whole bunch of includes, how big are they? In my work as a consultant, sometimes people will have to send me the data like out of SP Blitz Index, and they'll have me reanalyze and rejuggle their indexes disconnected. Like I never get access to their production systems in these scenarios. Well, when I do that, I kind of need to know how big the columns are so I don't go and recommend an index that's on an nvarchar max. Because you know how it is with column naming. Sometimes somebody will have a column called is deleted or is employee, and you'll be like, oh, I bet that's a bit. And then you go in and look at it, and it's XML, and you're like, what in the Sam heck is going on here? So that's the goal that we want to achieve. And then I cracked open the code and I went, oh, sweet potato, this is going to be a lot harder than it looks. Well, that does not scare off people like Greg. So Greg says, I'm on it, and he's added stuff like this. So right now, the way that SP Blitz Index works is it generates a bunch of temp tables, and then it works off those temp tables instead of working off of the index DMVs directly. We just pull a bunch of stuff out of the index DMVs and then cycle through them in the temp tables so that we don't have to hold locks, because you wouldn't believe how often some people create and drop objects on the fly. I've seen people that are creating dozens of tables per second. So in here, Greg says, we're going to create two columns in the temp table. Instead of just listing equality columns on the index recommendation, we're also going to go create equality columns with data type, and then same thing with inequality columns. And it looks like he didn't do it on included columns. That's okay. I'm going to start there. We'll start there and see how it goes. So then let's see what else. Let's try first running it, because I've looked at this code a long time ago and I don't want to make y'all sit through as I go through and examine it again. Let's just go first see if we can get it. Oh, he says included columns is in the next line. And it is. Oh, yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Look at you go. So let's go get the code. Because I've reviewed it once already and I was quite happy with it, but we just had a bug in it that around nulls. So let's see. Let's get the raw version of it. Let's copy paste it out. And then let's get paste it in over here. Paste. Execute. So we've got his new version of SP Blitz Index in there now. I actually have an index recommendation already in here, so let's just start with this. Let's see. It probably won't work because it probably doesn't have the show all missing index. Okay, that's cool. No problem. So what we'll do is we'll go generate a missing index request like we had in the issue. Let's come back over here because I have a script in here that will do it. Copy and paste. First, let's drop the indexes that we already have just to be careful. Then let's go run a query 10 times, and this query generates a missing index request. Then let's go run SP Blitz Index table name users. So it's empty string. So we got a problem in here where it's not actually generating the right missing index request. It's not saying what columns it's on. Okay, time to go spelunking. Now, Greg's already heard this lecture, but I'm gonna give it again to folks who weren't here. When you run an open source project, sometimes you'll have different standards for code. You may have, like if I put in the issue, hey, here's the problem. When you run this, this comes out. If somebody submits a pull request and the code doesn't work at the very first time that I test it, I'll often push it back and go, well, there's a repro set of scripts in there right on the blog post itself. Go take a look at those and see if you can make it work. Here, though, it didn't. It immediately failed the very first test that I tried. But you know what? Greg has put so much work into this, and I want this code so bad that now you're going to go see me spelunking. So now we're going to go way deeper into this one than we did in the previous pull request because we have some work to do. Now I have to go see where the string is being built, what contents are... Exactly, Greg. It's like, works on my machine. Woo! I have to go see where the string is being built and see why it's showing up as null on my machine, see what's going on with it. I don't know if it's a null that's getting inserted in there somewhere or what the deal is. Let's go find out. I need to change the setting on one of my cameras, so there that goes, and off we go. Microsoft, yes, it's excellent living. I truly enjoy it. So let's go back to Greg's pull request code, because I don't know that I have... I can just script it out again from the master database. So let's go back over into the master database, go into SP Blitz Index, and script this little fella out. So now I got to figure out what's inside that missing index recommendation table at the time that it's being built. So Greg's code does, let's go over and take a look at what he changed inside here. So let's go actually do this, and we'll look at the pull requests. Work for me equals you can go fix it the right way. Well, for me, I want to make as few changes as possible in order to make it work. The right way is probably a little bit of a stretch. I don't know if it's where the equalities with data, if it's in the problem with the equality columns or the inequality columns. I'm just going to copy this, and then I'm going to go look in the code for where it's being set. So Control F. Here's where we're creating the table. Now let's go down to where it's being set. All right, so case when, Case when equality columns is not null, else empty space. Oh, so it's probably not set. Let's see here. Let's see where else. So this, oh, we're doing it inside dynamic SQL. I didn't make that face for Greg. No. I mean, I made that face for because I'm going to have some work to do here. So we're inserting stuff into, where's the table that we're missing indexes. So the table's name that has all this stuff is missing indexes. So what I'm going to do, my very first step in troubleshooting, is I'm going to go select out the contents of that missing indexes table and see what we're working with. I'm just going to do a plain old select star for missing indexes. So, yes. I should also say, I think SPBlitzIndex has a debug parameter. Let's go see if, I'm going to say, come back over here, debug equals 1. If we get lucky, let's see if the debug outputs the missing index recommendations, and it does! God bless whoever wrote this, because it wasn't me. This was originally written by Kendra Little. So if I scroll across on here, oh yeah, there we go. Now I don't know yet why it's null. So here's the first strike. I can see there are a couple things inside here. The about me is populated. The with data type is null. These are also nulls. So now I know that the reason why the index definition is null is because for some reason these columns haven't been populated. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm actually going to accept Greg's pull request because I want to work on it and start making changes. I know somewhere out there, somebody's going to say, Brent, there's a way that you can use GitHub and you can work inside Greg's pull request before you accept it into development. And I'm sure you're right, but I have no frickin' idea how to do that right now, and I'm not about to learn when I'm trying to get across the finish line for something else. yeah, because you don't even have to worry about data accuracy. Over in NoSQL, nulls are expected. So I'm going to go ahead and accept Greg's pull request, and then I'm going to go create another branch over in GitHub where I'm going to continue to work on Greg's stuff. I will check in the fixes by the end of the day. This is something that I wouldn't recommend people do out in the real world, but because this is a hobby project, sure, why not? So let's take Greg's pull request. So I'm not going to do it over from GitHub desktop. I'm going to say, do you want to pull request into a different branch? No, Greg, I'm going to knock it out right here today. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to be like Tim Gunn on Project Runway, or now Making the Cut, who I'm a tremendous fan of. And true story, I had a dream about him the other night where I bought his used Mazda Miata, which tells you some strange things. I don't even think Tim Gunn has a driver's license. So I'm going to approve. This isn't quite working yet, but it's close enough for government work and horseshoes. So I'm going to accept it and start working on a tweak to it. Copy, approve, or submit. And then let's go over to our, let's assign Greg to it just to make sure. So reviewers, assignees, that's all good. Let's put it under a milestone of this. The issue is 2227, so let's link this, 2227. And then let's merge the pull request, confirm the merge, put a comment in there, and then come back over to the issue itself. So the assignee will be Mr. Dodds. Oh, why won't it let me put? Oh, that kind of blows. All right, so in that case, I'll put myself on there. No spicy food before bedtime. Why is it so spicy? I don't know how many of you other than me and Richie watch TikTok. Andy, are you on TikTok yet? Andy Leonard, are you on TikTok? I bet your kids are on TikTok. That's probably how that works. And it's once you get in there, it's really, really addictive. Okay, so I'm going to reopen the issue. Thanks for the pull request. It'll be in the Lord no, there's stuff in there you would like. I promise you. It'll be in the August release with credit to you in the release notes. So we'll put that in there. I'm going to update the release notes just because I'm in here. I'm still catching up on Vine. Twitter was idiots for closing that product. So improvement, added data types to missing index requests. Number 2227, I think that was. Yeah, 2227. Thanks, Greg. Whoops, put this in over here. Paste, and then copy this over here. Copy, and paste this. Oh, shoot. Here, we'll just put that in there, and then I can backspace over it. Thanks, valued customer, Greg Dot. So it's in there twice, so it must be a really valued customer. We'll say really valued customer. All right, so we'll save that. Now let's go in and figure out what's going on this thing. So I got to go create my own pull request, or I got to go create my own branch. So let's switch back over to the dev branch and get the latest changes from the development branch. Then I'm going to start a new branch for 2227. Missing, or SP Blitz Index, missing request, missing index data types. New branch. Yep, I'm sure. And now let's go open that up into SP Blitz Index. So now we have the new version of SP Blitz Index. I'm just going to close other things just to make sure that I've got the right one and make sure that it's in master. I'm going to go put it into production, and then I'm going to run it again just to make sure that we're still having the same issue, just because every now and then you know weird stuff happens and things just suddenly work. So in here, what was the Linus Torvalds quote? Debugging is not poking it randomly until it executes successfully. I forget what he calls it, or like pushing randomly until it compiles. I just loved that quote. So missing indexes. So right now we have the sad trombone problem where this stuff's null. Now the reason why I wanted to take this first as it is jiggling code until it unbreaks. Yes, I love that. That's exactly what it was. Jiggling until it unbreaks. God, that was awesome. So the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to do just a little bit of defensive programming. I bet that there are edge cases where this code is going to break and it's going to produce nulls inside these columns. So what I want to do is I want to first be a little bit defensive and assume that it does produce nulls sometimes and use a coalesce. I want to take a non-null value. If the equalities, the ones with data types aren't somehow populated, I want to defend myself just a little. So to do that, I'm going to go into the code, and I'm going to say, I'm trying to hide the dang results column. There we go. I'm going to do a search in here for where we use it. So in here it says, here's where we're producing the column for missing index requests. What we're saying is, if this is not null, then use that column. But instead of just using the one with data type, I'm going to use a coalesce here. So I'm going to say when coalesce, I want to use Greg's first, but if it doesn't work, I want to use plain old equality columns. So here, what'll happen is if we have this error again in the wild, if they passed in, this is what the coalesce command does, is if this actually has non-null value, use it. If not, try to use this instead. So then I'm going to do the same exact thing, copy that out, over here where I populate the string, where I go and I'm not doing jack around here, where SQL Server populates that string describing, populates the string describing what the index is. So let's go put that in over here. Now I have to do the exact same thing with the inequality piece. So I'm going to take that exact same copy paste, and I'm just going to change this to inequality and inequality columns. Copy it again. I could replace the whole case statement with coalesce. Oh, Greg. Oh, I like that. Oh, Greg, you're right. I absolutely like that, and I will absolutely take it. I like that even better. So we'll say as coalesce this, and then empty string. So that's perfect. Then I'm going to put a space inside there because I also need to add a space, I think, after the list of equality columns. Okay, there we go. He says you need the word equality. Oh, good catch. Yes. So we'll say equality. Let's see how we did it in the original version of it. I'm going to scroll across to the inequality ones to see how it was done. Okay, good. It was done with inequality and then semicolon and a space. Okay, I love it. So this works. Now I'm going to take this, paste it in twice, plus, and plus out here. This is now going to be inequality. This is going to be Rose. Welcome to the club from YouTube. Inequality columns. And then this is going to be included columns with data type. Okay, yep, included columns with data type and included columns. And then this is includes. All right. Nicole says it will always return not null. What did I do here? Oh, nice. Nicely done. Good catch, everyone. Yes. So what this needs to be is moved. Whoopsie daisy. Hold on. This needs to be moved over to the beginning. So cut and then paste. Then same thing over here. Cut and then paste, and then cut. This is why I do live coding on YouTube, because it improves my code quality, because y'all are way better than IntelliSense. You're only marginally better than IntelliSense. So it looks like we've got all of the stuff from inside there, just looking across the end. He says that should give you a different result. Is that good? So Greg, is this what we want now? The way that this is set up, what's IntelliSense? Okay. If you have no inequality, then it'll still, oh, good, Greg. That's so fantastic. Yes. I love it. Okay. So, how do I want to do that? Case when, damn it, then you know really what I should do is I should really do the case. I really don't want to do it this way. What the hell? Yeah, assumes that string plus null equals null. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to the case. I'm going to go back to the case version, and I know y'all aren't going to like that, but I like the case version better. So I'm going to close this without saving it, and I'm going to go back to the case version, because I think it's going to be more intuitive for people to read when I die and they have to inherit this code. God, I hope I die soon. Just kidding. So what I'm going to say is, so here, Control Z, right? So I'm going to say case when coalesce, and then this, comma, is not null. So this way, I'm going to be able to say, it'll just be a little bit more intuitive for the readers this way. So we will be harvested when the aliens. Richie, I'll leave you in my will. So we have when this is not null, then now I'm going to dump the coalesce inside there. Coalesce, and paste this back in. And then end plus. And then now I can, why are you fuzzy underlining? Oh, because I'm missing a parentheses. Okay, that's cool. There you go. All right, so now I can take that exact same kind of thing, and I can do it twice more for the inequality columns, which is fair because it's not my technical skills that are keeping you tuned in. So now I can do the same thing with inequality columns, and I can say in, and then do it in the label as well, inequality. Then I can switch it to includes. And while we're in here, I'm really tempted to change this. It always says includes, and I'm really tempted to just change it to say include. because that's what the SQL Server syntax is. So I'm actually going to change it to that. That's technically a breaking change, but roll. Okay, so we got that. Now I don't need a plus at the end of that little fella, and I think we're good. I'm going to give y'all a moment to decide whether or not we're actually good with that. We'll see what you think of that. Looks like Clippy is okay with it. I think we're good. I'll give you a little countdown there to find bugs.
9, 8,
No pressure.
7, 6, 5,
No pressure.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. So if Clippy is happy, then who am I to argue? All right. I think Greg had to do this at several places inside the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Control F. First, I'm going to copy this just so that I can reuse it again later. Actually, I'll copy the whole shebang. I'll copy this whole thing, and then I'm going to do a Control F to search for equality columns with data type to see if it happened anywhere else in the code. And that's where we insert it into the table, and then we'll go down further. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, perfect. That looks good. So now all I've done here at this point is I've just done defensive coding. I haven't even fixed why it's null yet. One battle at a time. So we'll go ahead and save that, put it into production, and then try to run it. So anyone can get a beta copy. So the nice thing with GitHub is because all the code's public, it's a public repo. Anybody can go get the dev branch whenever they want. So let's go execute SP-Blitz-Index again. Now with this, the first check that I'm just going to go do is just to see that we still have the defensive null problem. And we do. This is good. This is what I want to see. Location is populated, but this column is not. This is where our defensive programming comes in. So did it work? So down here, if we go further down, yes! So the good news is that now the index definition is populated. The bad news is it's still wrong. So when I say wrong, I just mean that it doesn't have the data types included. So now we climb the first hill. Now let's climb the second hill. Second hill is going to be how do we find out why that's null and how do we get it correct? So to do that, let's go back in and look at the code. Now we got to take a second pass in here. We got to go back and find where that's getting populated. And we have to go see why it isn't getting populated correctly. So in here, we're saying get this stuff as equality columns with data type. So what the heck is this? So if I go, it's coming from, there's no from. No, it is. Column names with data types. So that's going to be a CTE up here, I bet. Column names with data types. Here it is. So collect column names with data types as, holy potato, this is ugly. You know what's good though, is it's not hitting a temp table. It's not hitting a temp table, which means I can get that dynamic SQL and run it separately. Now, maybe the dynamic SQL is coming out in the Messages tab of SP-Blitz-Index already. I don't honestly know. Let's go look at Messages and see how lucky we are. So that the one that I'm looking for is column names with data types. He says it's in the Messages. So let's go copy this out into a new window. Column names with data types. Yay! All right, here we go. So here's the query that's running. Let's copy paste that out and copy paste. There's a little bit of a bug inside there, so we'll just pop that out. And let's see what this produces. I don't even know it's actually going to compile. Execute. Yay! Okay, so incorrect syntax near the keyword into. Well, you know, you moron. So there, let's do that. And then this, let's try it again. That is fine. Let's just try null as, and then you. Let's try you. Yay! But on the flip side, okay. So at least now we have dynamic SQL that we can go quickly reproduce the problem without going all the way through SPBlitz index. Next, now we got to find out what's populating that and why that's null. The journey continues. So the one with data types, select column names, replace column names. So what is up in this CTE here? Let's see what's going on. So where TY name is blah, 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 inner column name, max length. So let's see, it looks like we're doing a case based off of TY name. Let's get TY name and see what it is. Just to see what the contents are, because maybe there's something different about mine. Same thing with, we're not doing any null protection inside here. We're not doing any coalescing. So if one of these is null, we're going to be screwed. So let's get out TY name, CO scale, CO precision, CO max length. Let's see if there's anything else that we're using in here to do this generation. That looks like it's probably it. Now I have fuzzy underlinings. Great. The hell you mean you couldn't be bound? You're right there. What? Oh, my life. Select. Oh, because it's inside. Is there another from inside here? Where's TY? All right, so let's go see control F. Oh, it's systypes. Systypes. As user type ID. Okay, let's just start by getting user. Oh. Why are you not being able to be bound? You know what? Let's just hit execute. Oh, couldn't find stored procedure. What the what? What the what? Could not find stored procedure? It's the select at the end of line 2. There's another select. Stuff select, but I added the stuff in the beginning. Let me cut it back out just to make sure what we're dealing with here. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. Okay, no problem. James Goldfield. Oh, it's an inner query. Oh. James Goldfield, welcome to the club from YouTube. Okay, so okay, so I have an inner query. Is the inner query only producing one thing? It looks like it is. Let's see if we get lucky and we can do this. Because it could be, no, the stuff isn't going to work. Okay, so instead of getting all this stuff, I'm going to have to write a new query. I'm going to say, from missing index details, go over to the types. Let's go move this down here. So let's say go select. He says, I think you can just copy the inner query out. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Let me try that. Get this select, and the select ends, I'm going to guess there. So, oh, you know what? Why don't I be smart? And why don't I hover my mouse over these so I can see where the, don't you just love that when you can't see where the ending parameter or ending parentheses is? All right, brace yourself. I'm going to have to go out to 100%. I'm going to maximum suck. She's going from suck to blow. All right, there it is. Copy and then paste. Okay, we just won't do a filter for the indexes. We're going to take that out completely. Execute. Oh, take out the for XML path. Now I can get select TY name. Let's see if that works. No, it does not. Okay, okay, yep, we're not going to fix that quickly. Okay, so instead, I'm going to take a different tack. I'm going to zoom back in so that y'all can see it better. Instead of trying to go through that query, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out and write a new query from scratch to see what it is that we're dealing with. So the inner query says, from missing index details, cross-apply some other stuff for the equality searches. Alt F4. I will give you that. So let's do a quick just select to just go see if I can get stuff inside here. Whoops. Select. So let's see what we get here. Where? I don't know that I really want that. God, I don't want to deal with any of this crap today. I'm not dealing with any of this crap today. So it's, oh man. Okay, so join where ID, enter ID equals I. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to do that. Let's delete all three of those, or let's delete all those out and see if this produces any rows. And it does not. Yep. Okay. So, and CGS, you are correct. So I am not going to get this shipped today. I'm looking at this and I'm like, So, okay, so let me be fair though. Okay, so one of the things that I said is I think that there's no null protection inside here. So let me step way back. So there's no null protection inside here when we do stuff like these cases. So what if I go, I do some basic null detection just to see when some of these are null. If it's null, then replace it with whatever the column name is. So let's actually try that. It's still going to suck. It's still going to suck, but I'm going to just try it to see what happens. There's one other thing that I could try to do as a quick check, just to see if I could get it to reproduce. I'm going to make SQL Server request another missing index and see if we have this problem with another missing index. So let's say, because I have a hunch that it has to do with an nvarchar max column. So I'm going to say, instead of select about me, select display name. And then I'm also going to say select display name and about me. So let's go grab both of those. The reason why I'm doing that is that display name is a short column. It has a known length. About me is an nvarchar max, which has a length of -1. And I think that might be what's screwing the column type detection. So let's go run it again. This time I'm not going to bother with the debug equals. Actually, I will bother with the debug equals 1. So Greg says, I don't know how it's working on your server. Yeah, so it's still not working here. And I should have known that it still wasn't going to work because it doesn't work with location either. Okay. Let's try. What else could it be? So I'm not in 2019 compat level as far as I know. I'm just trying to think of like real fast things that I know that might break something or produce a different execution plan. I'm just going to throw it into 2008 compat level. I did, but my compat level, I have a step in my jobs whenever I do restores. Every time I do a restore, I automatically, I'm in 2013 though. Every time I do a restore, I reset the compat level. So that kind of helps. We're going to pop into 2008 and say, okay, just out of curiosity. And I don't know that I may have to redo those queries. Let's redo those and then redo SP Blitz Index. And then let's see what we've got in here. Coming down a little further. Roy says, you're the man. So nope, it still does not work. So it doesn't work in 2008 compat mode. Okay, we ruled that out. This isn't a case-sensitive database. Let's try creating one new table. So I'm going to create a new table from scratch, just in case it's anything related to the Stack Overflow tables. Clippy site, branozar.com. So I just published a blog post where I have Clippy go create a bunch of missing index recommendations. Very funny video, highly recommended. That'll be all throughout my social media stream this week too as well. I'm putting through a bunch of best of type pieces. So let's go, and I'll even create a new database just to make sure it's not that. Create database, Clippy, and then we'll go use Clippy, and then so there's one other edge case possibility, which could be that I have a copy of SP Blitz Index in that database. If I go in and look at stored procedures, I do not, so that's not it. So we're in Clippy now. I'm going to go build a table with a whole bunch of columns and insert data. I say a whole bunch, 6 columns. And then after it finishes, I'm going to go have Clippy build a bunch of missing index requests. So we'll do go 10 there. So it'll take a second to go put in 10 million rows and then execute. So this should produce 10 missing index requests. Now I'm going to switch over to Clippy and I'll say the dining room table. Boy, it would be really cool if this worked. And Still no dice. So we still don't get equality columns with data type there. Okay, so I don't know off the top of my head why that isn't working, and it's one of those. Agamon says, wasn't there a join to a database named Stack Overflow in there? I'm not sure. Oh, when you saw the dynamic SQL is based on whatever database I'm running it in, but that disappears whenever I switch over to SP Blitz Index somewhere else. Okay, so I'm at a tough point there. I don't know, like when I look at that code, I'm like, oh, it would be really cool if it did work, but I can't get it to work. So, and it's one of those where I just got to make a judgment call about how long in depth I want to go in there. So the next layer to which that I would want to go is I would want to put in coalesce checking inside of each one of these to try to figure out which column was screwing us up. I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to look at the code just to see if there's anything that jumps out at me, just to see in an edge case. Agamon says, I just got the code from GitHub. The join is there. Okay, so let's go see. Let's go get the, so this is the original code from GitHub. If I go look at Stack Overflow, what? All right, so hold on here. Now, this is one of an interesting, I don't use this feature very often, but there's a feature in GitHub called blame. I'm not really a fan of blaming people. We're going to blame somebody today. So we are going to go open up and see in GitHub where that is and who did it. Because that is some BS. So we're going to go look at code, and then we're going to go look over at SP Blitz Index, and then we're going to go do blame. Over here on the right-hand side is blame, and when you click the blame button, GitHub goes and generates a list of every line in the code, so I can do a Control F in here for Stack Overflow. And now I can see, here's the line Stack Overflow. Over on the left-hand side, we can see who did it. If I scroll up just a little bit, I can see the pull request where this was done. Greg. That's fair. That's fair. I'll take that. I will totally take that. So, this is why I really should not have merged it into the dev branch. Didn't I start this whole live stream by talking about how the code quality has been kind of sketchy lately and how I needed to do deeper review? Well, this is us doing deeper review and catching these kinds of things. So who was it that caught that Stack Overflow? Now I got to scroll back in the chat and I got to see who caught it because I want to see who it was because they deserve a very... Agamon Meraki. Agamon, I'm going to move the chat thing over here just so that everybody can see it. So right here, Agamon Meraki. Agamon, I want you to send me an email. If you go to brentozar.com and click contact up at the top, Agamon, I'm going to give you a live class season pass as a thank you for catching that because that is heroic. You deserve a big round of applause. It's just absolutely fantastic. So big cheers there for Agamon. You just won yourself a live class season pass, which is kind of cool because I have classes tomorrow too. I have fundamentals of parameter sniffing tomorrow and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That is I concur entirely. So very good job there. Absolutely fantastic. So now let's come back over here and let's go fix that because that is terrifying. So let's go fix that. And you notice there's a Stack Overflow 1 of 1. Okay, thank God. It was only in one place. So now let's go back over to the code. That makes me wonder what it was before it was Stack Overflow. I'm guessing that it was just looking at the stuff below. So it is Stack Overflow syscolumns. And so let's see what it was before that. So I'm going to copy this out. And then I'm going to go get the I'm going to go get the a prior branch of this code. I'm going to go back over on my Mac just because I happen to have it over here on my Mac, and then go into SP Blitz index. So I am going to go copy that on my desktop just to go drag it over there. And paste this in over here so that I can open it on my desktop, and then I'll open it with a text editor just to put it over there, and then Control F, search for that string. Otherwise, let's try this. Otherwise, or let's just search for dSQL. Cuts it out maybe. Oh, it's all your new code. Oh, okay. All right. In that case, so it doesn't say that we're checking. Oh, this doesn't have a database prefix on it, so I think we're okay with this. I don't know if Greg has a live class season pass. I don't know. Greg, do you have a live class season pass? Because if not, we're going to give you one too. One of the two. So I would open up the membership site and go look if you have a live class season pass, except then it would be up on the screen, everyone's live class season passes, and we wouldn't want that. But Greg, if you don't have one, shoot me an email and I'll get you hooked up with one as well. And the only reason I'm telling you to send me an email is just so that I don't forget during the live webcast. Work got you one in the last Black Friday sale. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we've got that. So I took out syscolumns. This is so awesome. That's so cool that we actually figured that out. So Guaring says, anyone tell me how to ask questions? We're not really doing question and answer inside this webcast, unfortunately. I have enough questions on my hand as it is. All right, so we have this new change to SP Blitz Index that now no longer has the Stack Overflow database. So Siska, most people would Google, but I like how you just want to ask the presenter to drop everything that they're doing and tell you the answer. The answer is, it's for people who know how to Google. So if I go look over now and try it again, if I go look over at SP Blitz Index table name dining room, oh, big money, no whammies. It worked. If I go, so now let's do the users table, and let's see users, and I'm also going to pass in database name equals Stack Overflow 2013. So let's go see how that works. And, oh, okay, that's all right. So what isn't happening here is what happens if you have to switch databases, because I kind of had a hunch that this was going to happen. So welcome Vincent from YouTube. So now it works when you're in the same database as the object you're examining, but it doesn't work when you're in a different database. Like right here, oops, I am in the Clippy database, but the database that I'm examining is the Stack Overflow 2013 database. So that's okay. The reason why I wondered about that was that when I was looking at Greg's code down here, it doesn't prefix the database name. And when I saw Stack Overflow hard-coded in there, I was like, oh, that's true. I bet we have to prefix these with the database name that we're examining. So this just gets just a little bit harder. Not bad. What we have to do, welcome to the club, James, from YouTube. What we have to do is we have to prefix these objects with the database name that we want to examine. I think we can just use the database name variable, but I'm not bulletproof sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, or I'm going to scroll around and look for, is there a, yeah, check this out. See how we were doing this over inside the other objects? We were putting in the database name. I just need to copy paste this out and go put it next to the system tables. My guess, so this is just a guess, but I think if I remember right, these DMVs always reflect the database. That can't be right either. Like I think if you have a use up at the top, it's not so bad, but I may have to fully prefix them. So what I'm going to do, good morning, Robert. I'm just going to take this exact code, copy paste it up, and I'm going to spin out and go up to the other places where we're hitting things like syscolumns. So up here. So up here, we're going to go dump that in and then put the period inside there. I also need a period. Let's copy that out. And then here. And let's see if there are other things. So up here, there's missing index details, but down below, we're not fully prefixing that. So I'm going to kind of leave that as is. It's kind of like, what's that called? Damn it, what's the program? Cargo cult debugging. So I'm going to use some cargo cult debugging here. And if you've never heard of cargo cult debugging, that's a fun thing to Google as well. So I know these are some of the things that you pick up when you're just watching somebody else's code, as you see some of these kinds of tricks that they use, and security things too for dynamic SQL. So okay, so let's try that. So we've got that in place now. Let's execute that to go put that code into production. Then let's run this again and see. The thing that I'm looking to see is, after we fixed it, now are we going to get the data types in our recommended missing indexes? And as we scroll across, yay, that is fantastic. We're not doing questions and answers inside this webcast, unfortunately. I got a job to do, so I'm kind of focusing on my job in this one. Now we're inching ever closer. We got a little bit of a tiny problem here. So a little bit of a tiny problem. We need commas on every column that's included after the first, or I could just be lazy and put a space. Because after all, it isn't like this is code that's actually going to get compiled by someone. For my own evil purposes, I'm going to say, I can see how included columns has a comma. I'm going to kind of want to have that same technique here. I want columns in between multiple columns, commas in between multiple columns. So for me to do that, I'm going to go look at the technique that was used over on the included columns one, and then go see if I can reproduce that exact same thing over in Greg's new code. So let's see what we got here. So where did we populate the included columns list? So this is column names with data types. Where are the column names without data types? All right, let's go Google for it. Atik, welcome from YouTube. Let's say equality columns, and then drop table employee says leave it without the comma so the code doesn't compile on purpose. It won't compile anyway because it's got the data type names inside there. Greg says from memory Clippy does the comma. Oh, you're right, Greg. You're absolutely right. So Clippy automatically furnishes the comma, so I'm going to have to get a little bit more complicated than that with data type. Okay, so for me to figure out coalesce data. Okay, so where are we getting? Oh, I got to figure that out. Let's go back up top higher. There it is. Okay, so where we're doing this is here with this stuff. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to have to zoom out in order to see all. Oh, I don't have to really. Inequality. Name. That's the data type. What I'm going to do is at the end of the data type, I'm going to shove a space. I know. But this gets me close enough that I'm going to deal with it. Greg says this is why you get the big box. So I get close enough by dealing with it by just putting a space inside here. It doesn't have the comma, but you know what? I'm just going to deal with that. I'm going to live with that and rock and roll and call it a day. So now that we've got that, let's double check it by putting in, I'm going to do a couple of missing index requests with multiple columns in them. So let's say, we'll do the users table. So let's say where location equals Antarctica and display name. Oh, let me zoom in for y'all. There we go. from DBO users. Let's switch over into we'll fully prefix. That's what we'll do. Stack Overflow 2013 DBO users, where location equals Antarctica and display name equals Joris 23, because he's 23 on Twitch. First, let's make sure that this actually produces a missing index request, and it produces it. Yep, good. It produces it on 2 keys, so that's good. And let's go that 10 times. I didn't really need the execution plan every time. And now let's try our missing index check. I'm going to take off the debug. I'm just going to go look at the regular result sets and execute that. And so there are a couple things that I want to make sure that work. So over here on the left-hand side, I want to make sure that the indexes are done with the data types inside here. I know people are going to yell because they don't have commas, and I'm going to be like, suck it up, Buttercup. If you want the commas, you go in there and put them in, because I would rather have the data types on there. Then if I scroll across, I also want to make sure that the create T-SQL is still correct, that it doesn't have anything about the data types, and we have winners across both of these. So far so good. Let's also do spblitz index with just mode equals 4, and then execute. Don't be fooled. He's not really paying attention regardless of whatever work he's doing. Then if I look at over here, so this is the database-wide missing index recommendations. Yes, because a fill factor of 100 is the right thing to do. Then if I go across in here, this works beautifully. It shows the right data types. If I come across here and look at the create index statement, let's go, fill factor 0 is better. Let's go look at this. So beautiful. The missing index recommendations do not have that data type in them. That's fantastic. Last thing that we're going to do is mode equals 3. Mode equals 3 gets you the list of missing index requests. And okay, so what's going on inside here? All queries combined with a union, intersect, or except operator must have their equal number of expressions. Damn, so close, but yet so far. So we've been going at this for a little bit, and I think I'm still going to fix this because I don't think that this is going to be hard. I think that this is just going to be a matter of somebody did a select star somewhere inside of mode 3. And I didn't even flag this earlier for Greg that there's a mode 3. What mode 3 does in spblitz index is it lists out all of your missing indexes and just puts them in one grid so that it's easier to digest. I will fix this, but we're going to take a bio break first. So first, a quick shout out to this week's sponsor. So Quest Software has put together an ebook with advice from me, Janice Griffith, and Penal Dave. Now, knowing you see me coding all the time live, so you may not actually want to take my advice. So that's kind of how that works. But you can go get that for free over at brentozar.com/go-up/optimization. I should have said, too, when Richie was joking about this shirt, I don't surf, but I did go to North Shore in Hawaii, so I kind of stood around and watched other people surf. Oh my God, those people are insane. That is absolutely bananas. Those waves will kill you. It's incredible how large the waves are. We happened to be there right after a storm, and so we got to watch some really 10, 15, 20-foot waves roll through, and I'm like, you people are suicidal. That is just insanely hard. So we'll take a short 5-minute bio break here. I'm going to refill my espresso. We're down to decaf, though. Decaf espresso for one more shot before we go in and do the final crunch to go fix mode 3. And then, yeah, no, I haven't had to write UI. This was actually one of the reasons I switched over to SQL. So we'll do a 5-minute bio break. We'll come back in 5 minutes, and then we'll finish up mode 3, and then I'll make the decision as to whether or not I'm going to do a release for this month. Now, Yeah. So, and then after that, too, at the end of the webcast, I'll give away another coupon. I'll let y'all decide. And y'all tell me over in chat which class you would want to get the coupon on. We're not going to do a live class season pass coupon, but pick any one of my classes and I'll do a coupon when we come back from the break to say thanks to y'all for helping debug my code and all that. Yeah, I am going to do a second breakfast too. The coffee shop downstairs opens at 8 o'clock. I'm totally going down there and getting myself a lox and bagel because we've done some good coding today. So I'll see y'all back in here in 5 minutes. All right, party people. So now, I said before we go further, I'll give you all a coupon code. Here's the deal. You tell me which class you want a coupon for, and I'm not going to do the live class season pass or the recorded class season pass, but if we get up to 50 people chatting in here, like if in Twitch specifically, I love YouTube, but the YouTube chatters don't count. I've always wanted to hit a 50 simultaneous chatters thing inside Twitch. If we get to 50 chatters inside Twitch, and I'll look at the little border, CGS says, what happened to the streaming quality? It's okay here. You might have, really? It went blurry for y'all? Wow. Oh, it must, CGS, it might just be on your end. It seems to work okay. So if we get to 50 people chatting, and when you're in there, tell me which course you want it for. And I'm going to do 75% off, just because why not? Because y'all are going to go like crazy. 75% off. And if we hit 50 people in here chatting, I'll do that for the recorded class season pass. Otherwise, y'all have to pick one specific class. So let's go look over in Twitch. I'm going to pull up my little dashboard to see how many of y'all are chatting, because I think I can see it inside here somewhere. God only knows exactly where. Creator dashboard. Let's see here. Insights. Channel analytics maybe. Stream summary. That doesn't seem to say it. Stream manager maybe. Stream manager. Number of chatters. Nope, it doesn't say number of chatters. So we'll just see if we can get, I don't see anything if it says where the chatters are. Well, we'll just see. We'll watch. Yes, immediate Mike says you think you got 83. We have 83 people chatting altogether, but only a few of them have been chatting simultaneously. So that's where the chatting numbers come in. So I'm going to either, let's see here, we should look and see. A couple people, remember I said no chatting over on YouTube because that doesn't really help. Oh, Sack Theory wants a database administrator. Kurt says, what about those who already have a season pass? You should be very happy and thankful. Right? You should be cool. D. Sanchez says the senior class. Cargo cult debugging. That's very good. Royce, I wish I could give a countdown. I'm trying to figure out where I can go in Twitch to go find out to see if it shows the number of simultaneous chatters. Let's see here. It's starting to look like a game stream. It's indecipherable, which is fine. I mean, that's kind of okay. Royce says Twitch. So Twitch is the other place where I do streaming that makes a big difference there. Let me see if I can check how many people are simultaneously chatting. How many people are chatting now in Twitch in my channel. See if we can just Google and find it. Oh, Edie says mastering query tuning, and the mastering classes are okay too. You can choose a mastering class if that's what most of y'all choose. So let's see here. Understanding viewer count versus viewer list. How to manage harassment in Twitch. Yeah, no, I like it when y'all are harassing me in terms of high chat counts. It doesn't seem to show me, so I'm just going to go with the recorded class season pass. Let's go for it. Let's get y'all a coupon for the recorded class season pass, and I'm going to do 75% off. So here we go. Mutant says, show more Clippy, please. So let's see here. Let's give you a coupon, and let's say, thank you, Twitch chatters will be the name of the coupon. It's going to be recurring product 75% off. It expires today. And it is for just the recorded class season pass. Let's go put that in there. Season pass. Make sure that works. And then is that everything? I think I need to put that in. Recorded class, usage limits. Yep, just one per user. I think that should do it. And let's see. So and I'm going to go try to use it myself first. I'm going to start up an incognito to see just, no. She asks questions when I give out discounts, because true story, we have a banner hanging in our house, because I love to give stuff away. Like I do open source work, I do all kinds of streaming, like I don't charge y'all for any of this stuff. We have a banner in our house with the name of the vacation house that we want, and I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want y'all tracking down where I am. But the banner says, can't buy blank with free. As in, I can't do free stuff and then, buy enough to pay off the vacation house. So there you go. So now let me try and buy it with a coupon code. So that was why I wanted to say that, does she like when I give away stuff for free? Not terribly. Let's go try. And I'm doing it anyway because I like y'all. Y'all are good people. Especially Agamon. Wow, holy smokes! I already gave him a live class season pass just a second ago. Because he emailed in, so thank you again for that code. Let's go view my cart. Let's try to apply that coupon and make sure that the coupon works. It does. All right, sweet. So the coupon code is thank you Twitch chatters. So the coupon code is thank you Twitch chatters. Why? For some reason it's not showing over on the screen. Let me go pop into my Twitch channel and then go drop it off into code. So coupon code, thank you Twitch chatters. So that's down there on the bottom. Coupon code is thank you Twitch chatters. And that's good for my recorded class season pass. If we go into brentozar.com and then we go to, up at the top, you go to training. And then down near the bottom, there is a recorded class season pass. So this gets you access to all my fundamentals classes, the senior DBA class, the DBA fundamentals class, the DBA job interview Q&A. It doesn't give you the mastering classes because those are kind of like my Cadillac. I don't know why we still say Cadillac. Cadillac isn't necessarily the best anymore, but it gets you how I use the first responder kit, all the fundamentals of performance tuning classes, including tomorrow's, the new updated recording. This is when we say life is not fair. Fundamentals of server tuning and all the DBA classes there. So that is thank you Twitch chatters. You're welcome, Agamon. That was fantastic of your stuff. They're the Camaros of training. So the one thing that I would ask is just to hit my Twitch 50 chatters number that I've wanted to hit for the longest time. If you use this, say thank you. Say thank you over in chat, and this will expire in 1 hour. So you have 1 hour to get it, and it's going to end up being like $125 after the 75% off. You're welcome, Jedi Mind Gorilla. Thanks, y'all. Glad it's always fun coding with lots of y'all in here. So cheers. All right. And I'll give you all a moment to go put that in, and I'll talk to the Europeans who unfortunately aren't able to pull this off, so it kind of sucks for that. I would love to be able to do sales into the EU. It's just that damn privacy shield thing that they just struck down. I was working really hard to get to the point where this year we could actually do sales to the EU. Galbunga says, can you take a VPN? No, because our credit card processor is even programmed in to say that if the credit card's billing address is in any EU country or the economic area, it won't accept your payment. So it's not even just the address that you put in. Mike, oh, thank you. Very cool. I appreciate it. It doesn't count, but it's always good to see you in here anyway. So that's kind of cool. Oh, thank you, Robert. I appreciate that too as well. So you're welcome, y'all. I hope you enjoy that one. We'll see how that goes. So next, can you put it on my Papa's tab? So yes, so there you go. So now let's go see. We were working on Greg's pull request for SP Blitz Index. You're welcome, Sack Theory. Good. Glad y'all are enjoying that. And my wife doesn't wake up for another hour and a half. So that's why I said the coupon expires in an hour, because as long as y'all are all done buying it, then you're like, hon, I'm sorry, I didn't know that I gave them a coupon for 75% off. I'm going to have to work on my excuse a little bit. No, CGS, we do actually. You can do that during checkout. Unfortunately, we just don't give you access until we actually get the money. And if it's from the EU, then we just kind of have to send it back. All right, so the bug, it was supposed to be 7.5. That's actually a good one. Oh, not the DBA you're looking for. That I might be able to get away with that one. So, plus she's really happy because I worked a weekend gig this weekend. Our rule is whenever I work a weekend gig, she gets to keep the money. Because I'm like, if I would work 7 days a week, if she passed away, I would just work continuously. D. Sanchez, it includes that. That's included in there too. So you can get that also inside the recorded class season pass. Mike, you're on Twitch. Dang. Holy smokes, you're on Twitch as well. Does she watch the Twitch sessions? She does if it's something like Clippy, like I'll tell her, because she worked on the Clippy costume with me, helping me get it all set up. So she gets jewelry. She did get jewelry this weekend. She's very, very excited about my weekend engagement. She had the piece picked out that she wanted and all that stuff. So when last we met, we were working on SP Blitz Index, and we started. I know, yeah. Well, with the sun, I started right before the sunrise, so it ended up working out kind of okay. And my coffee shop downstairs opens in 20 minutes, and I thought usually I quit streaming around 8 a.m. so that I can go downstairs and get coffee and lox and bagel. I can't do that today because yesterday we ordered pizza. And we're always really good to the Pizza Hut delivery drivers, really to any restaurant staff. This is going to sound crazy, but we tip 50 to 100% right now because of the pandemic. Because I'm like, restaurant people are basically first responders right now, and I want to make sure that they're taken care of. So our Pizza Hut delivery driver, we generally have the same driver every time. We only order pizza like once every 2 or 3 weeks. But we had the same delivery driver, and we only ordered 2 pizzas, and he brought us 4 pizzas yesterday. He's like, thank you for taking care of us so well. You know, the staff wanted to say thank you. And I'm like, damn, 4. Well, it's because it was open early on during the pandemics. Like a lot of our local independent kind of shops weren't open just because of all the problems with coming back up. So good GovDBA. I'm a huge believer in it for right now, those first responders. So they brought us 4 pizzas. So we gave 1 pizza to the desk staff at the building, but now we still have another 2 pizzas left over in the fridge. So I got a lot of cold pizza that I need to eat. I adore cold pizza. It's just absolutely wonderful. Not here, they take the door. So that's what they're trained with the app. Right now, they're trained to do no contact delivery by default, that they're supposed to leave it on the door and then bail. But I would be fine with that, except we live in a 40-story tall high rise, and you can't get in the front door without authentication. So. Okay, so now let's go in and fix mode 3 in SP Blitz Index. We're so close to being able to ship this thing. I still don't want to do a release tomorrow because we keep looking in and finding a little oddball bugs inside this thing. Let's go in and fix mode 3. So we added this new feature, Greg Dodd, added this brand new feature inside of SP Blitz Index that lets us go through and add, G-Surgeon has already figured it out. Damn! G-Surgeon is, the Netherlands is representing today. All right, so in around line 5282, let's go down there. So it is this the one that's mode 3? Nope, it's probably a little further down. Yeah, here it is. No, that is mode 3 missing index detail. And he says add before 0 as display order. So, this is 1 as display order. So it's probably up higher or lower. It's probably down here. Here we go. So 0 as display order. We need 3 more nulls. Null. Okay, so this would get it to compile. I want to just make sure that we're not doing something. Greg, I bet you did. Greg, look at you, Greg. Dang, I love that. You are just the bomb. I missed a comma? Okay, let me go back and check that. Oh, good catch, everyone. Good catch. Oops, I got to put it in the right place, moron. Okay, so now let's see if this works. So let's save it and let's execute it to go put it into production. And let's run it again for mode equals 3. Now, the reason why this works is Greg added a couple of new columns in here. I love how he did this. This is just cool. Greg put in a couple of new columns here with the old equality columns with no data type, and then our new equality columns with the data type. Greg, I love it. I love how you did this because also this is going to work beautifully in the consultant toolkit. You just did wonderfully all the way around. So proud of you, Greg, even though I say proud, but I have nothing to do with your skills. Okay, so that's beautiful. I like that. That's fantastic. It shouldn't have any impact whatsoever on mode 1, but I'm just going to run it on mode 1. Great. Okay, we're done. Okay, so I like that SP Blitz index change. Let's save that, close it. Let's check it in on GitHub. So the changes that we made, I'm just going to scan down to look to make sure that my changes have their pants on. Okay, I pretty well like that. That looks good. We're going to go check in, put in our check-in request down here. So this is 2227 SP Blitz index, missing index data type tweaks. Continuing work on 2227. Commit. And zoom out on that. Publish the branch. Do a pull request. God, I just love it. That's fantastic. I'm so glad we got that code in because I wanted that really bad. This is reviewers. We're everyone on Twitch. Assign myself as the coder, and then this was I'm not even going to say bugger enhancement. It's just in SP Blitz Index. It is in the August milestone. Create the pull request. And how did it pop over to there? Did I accidentally click on something? I did. All right, there we go. Merge the pull request, confirm. And let's go back over to the issue. I think I had it. I put this in the release notes already, I think. Yep, yeah, good. It's in the release notes, so that's good. I can close that. Let's go over to the issues list. Issues. So now we are down to no open pull requests. Yay! I'm laughing instead of clapping. It was supposed to be the clapping button. All right. Now, we also have new issues that have come in, including this right here. Uninstall does not remove a table. Now, normally, I would say to someone, if this is important to you, you should consider go coding it yourself. Uninstall hasn't been modified in 5 months, so of course it doesn't delete the new versions table. Okay, cool. If this is important to you, you're welcome to submit a pull request to do this. Here's the contributing guide. And go get the first responder kit org pull contributing request, contributing, copy, and close that out, paste. If you don't want to do it, no problem. I'll close this in a few days. Thanks. Comment, assign this person who wants this. I do. I should sound more passive aggressive. You're right. The only reason that I don't sound more passive aggressive is just because I'm so happy after having just done that incredible bug. That is really cool. I don't think we have any other labels on there. No milestone. There we go. And that's done. All right. So I'm happy that we're right at 10 issues. I tried to, these days I'm trying to stay below 10 issues. Some of them are really hard to do. Like some of them we've been working on for quite a while. But I'm happy with where we're at there right now. That's pretty awesome, actually. So that is everything that I wanted to go knock out today. I wanted to go close the 4 open pull requests and get me close to the point where we could do a release if we wanted to. I don't think I'm going to, that's true. I don't think I'm going to do a release today. I think what I'm going to do is use the dev branch in my training classes on Wednesday. Edie, thank you. Welcome to the club. I appreciate it. So, Edie Doru, that's so interesting in terms of a name. Edie Doru. Now I'm curious where that comes from. So I'm not going to do a new deployment for it, new release for it this week. I'm going to use what we've got so far in my training classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Exactly. Well, not even you, just me live on screen. I tend to use the dev branches whenever I do the mastering classes. So if it explodes, I'll be able to laugh at it live during the classes. I love finding things like bugs during training classes. I think it's kind of fun. So I'm good with that. I'm going to stop here in terms of this week's stream and close that out, and then I'm going to shift gears into my day job. I kind of have a day off today, quote unquote, but I'm not working client facing. I teach training classes the rest of this week, and then I teach mastering query tuning next week. There's a demo that I need to update for mastering query tuning next week. You're welcome, Jedi Mind Gorilla. Always good to see y'all. GitHub it's really intimidating when you first use it. Kubelet, yes, absolutely, I do tons. GitHub is really worthwhile. It's just also a little bit intimidating. If you're not a developer, if you're a SQL Server person, it's really intimidating to use for the first time. Hey, well, and hey, you made the first jump. If you've switched over to Twitch, you're already doing well. So. Is GitHub like Jira? No, Jira is more of a help desk tracking thing. GitHub is for source control. So I can't remember if it's Atlassian that does source control out of that Jira company, the company that does Jira. So thanks. Oh, you're going to live code. Oh, I get to step in and watch you then too. So thanks, y'all, and I will see you out and around. Andy Leonard is also on Twitch as well. He does live streaming with Azure Data Factory SQL Server integration services. So if you want to learn about things like business intelligence and ETL work, go check out Andy Leonard over on Twitch. So thanks, y'all, and I will see y'all later. I'm going to not do any other live streams through the course of this week because I have those training classes through the rest of the week, but I'll be back on Saturday at my regular scheduled time. So thanks, y'all, and I will see y'all later. Adios.